Hello, everybody. We may have just witnessed the worst judges' scorecard decision ever in UFC history, and I'm here to break it down for you. How many times in all of the UFC's history, or in any professional sport, do you hear somebody after they win say this?
Go. You congratulated his team. Did you feel like you had done enough to get a victory there?
No. I felt like I was in the moment. I was having fun, which was my plan. But yeah. I thought I took more shots, but I always beat myself up, so I'd have to watch it again.
All right, so let's take a look at the official scorecard after the fight. Round 1, and it's a little bit hard to read, so don't worry if it's kind of hard to see. But round 1, we have 10-9 win for Cub. I think that's fair enough. I think 10-9 Cub on the first round is relatively fair. We're going to review some footage here in a second, but I think we'll see overall that's fine. Round 2, Hakeem, 10-9. And I think that's fine too. I think Hakeem round 2, 10-9 is fine. I think it could have maybe been a 10-8. And when we started round 3, we have a Cub who is tired. He is bleeding. He just does not generally look good at all. He's been eating huge punches. And what does he do? We go into round 3, and the judges score that he won 10-9 unanimously. And that is insane. So look, let's look at the significant strikes, and then we'll see where we go from there. 119 strikes to 104, 87 out of 181 significant strikes landed to 66 for Cub. Huge edge for Hakeem. I mean, there's no way that a fighter normally would lose with these types of stats. Now, it would be an understatement to say that people on Twitter were not absolutely upset about this. There were tons of people posting about how they just lost their money, how all the MMA judges were incompetent. There were even some people saying that the sports bookmakers should potentially void the fight because it was clearly rigged. And, obviously we say the poor sports bettors, right? But, the one thing about the UFC that Dana White has said is that the UFC is supposed to be the sport that is not fixed. It's supposed to be the sport that people can come out and their actual skill is assessed in a fair and accurate way. So for this to not happen, it's a lack of basically care on the UFC's part in order to uphold their standards that they're creating for themselves. Because this is really what sets the UFC apart from, say, boxing. Right before the end of the match, within the last couple minutes, Hakeem was apparently priced at a 10-1 favorite to win the fight. So the first round starts and it's pretty much just uneventful. I mean, it's a lot of the guys looking at each other. They kind of go back and forth on some little strikes. They do a lot of kicking. There's not a ton of action. These guys are just kind of going back and forth. They're staring each other down. They're getting a little bit technical. But honestly, there's really not that much action. I would be happy with it going to either guy. Now round 2 starts, and in my opinion, this is where Dawodu starts to really open up. I mean, a lot of his striking improves a lot. We can tell Cub has a little bit, he's been a little bit gassed, but really, honestly, this whole round, in my opinion, we see Dawodu just land the much larger shots. He's hitting with force. He's really stunning Swanson. He's just doing a lot of damage, and it's not to say Swanson doesn't, strike back. He has some strikes that land, and he does a lot of good damage, like in the clinch like this. He does a lot of good damage to the body. But really, I mean, watch it for yourself. Dawodu, in my opinion, just has these really hard strikes that are just devastating. I mean, they're doing a lot of damage, and it's pretty clear, in my opinion. Great defense. Took one there. And, right at the end there, yeah, it was pretty wild. But round 3, we're heading into round 3. And round 3, I mean, in my opinion, Swanson came in. He looked a little bit stunned. He looked a little bit tired. He wasn't looking like himself all the way. Really, Dawodu is just looking like a much sharper striker. He's landing good, heavy shots, and he's doing a lot of damage. And it seemed obvious to me. It seemed obvious to the people who were commentating the match. I would say, generally speaking, it was just kind of Dawodu's show after the first round, really. And here is where a couple interesting things happen, because we never really know how the refs are going to take into account hitting somebody in the cup. So we have one stoppage where Dawodu almost protests a little bit. He says, I don't know about that. And here we have another one. He does it again on accident. And so could the judges have used this in factoring in their scorecard? Absolutely. I think it's a possibility. I think it's possible that you know, whether conscious or not, or told or not, or an actual rule or not, they're using that in order to score these matches. And trading a fair amount of punches here. No doubt about it, but really just Dawodu is just landing the bigger, harder punches, and also he's landing a lot more of them. There's a lot of this fight that I've kind of not been able to put in because of copyright, so yeah. The UFC even goes as far as before the decision to show this graphic, to show Hakeem having 87 to 66 total significant strikes of Cub, and they're super confident that going into the decision he's going to win. Of course he loses, and here we have his cute daughter, excited. You really cannot take away anything from these fighters. You know, they go out there every night, they fight hard, so absolutely nothing taken away from Cub. Like, I have just the most gratitude towards you. I think you're an amazing fighter, so has nothing to do with the fighters. This is everything to do with the UFC and the way that they're scoring these matches. We need this stuff to be fair. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like down below and let me know in the comments section what you think about this fight. I mean, it's a really interesting scenario. Is it potentially the worst scored fight ever in UFC history? Are there others that come to mind whenever you watch this fight? Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a wonderful day.